Hey folks, welcome to the channel and the 2024 Truck King Truck of the Year series. Dad and I have gathered here in front of the fireplace because it's the end of the year and we have to go over all of the significantly redesigned trucks that we drove in the past year to name our 2024 Truck of the Year. So in this video, we're going to dive deep into the brand new Toyota Tacoma. This series is going to consist of 6 different videos. Now we have 5 trucks which are vying for the title of Truck of the Year. We have the Toyota Tacoma, the GMC Canyon, Chevy Colorado, Ford Super Duty, and the Chevy Silverado Heavy Duty. So we're going to put out a video on all 5 of those trucks, and then in the first week of January, we will come out and tell you which one is our 2024 Truck of the Year. But for right now, we're going to dive into the details on this new 2024 Toyota Tacoma. So the first thing we have to talk about is which trucks have we driven and where? And that's a simple question to answer with the Tacoma because we've only driven one of them. This truck just hit the road for media members. It's actually going to be hitting dealerships probably right now as we speak, as we record this video. So we've only had our chance in one of these trucks. It was a TRD off-road with the 6-foot bed, double cab, and the 2.4 liter turbocharged engine. So unlike the other trucks we're talking about where we kind of had a large cross section, Tacoma we've only had one. That's just timing, you know, that's the way it worked out. But still, we had to include it in this comparison and in our Truck of the Year series because it's such a big deal that we have a new Tacoma. So let's dive into our thoughts.
So right off the top, I want to send a shout out to Toyota Canada. They invited us, like every other media outlet, to Southern California to drive the new Tacoma. But on the other hand, they said, hey, if you want to stay here, we can get you this one pre-production Tacoma for a couple of days in our home turf. And frankly, that was better than driving it for 3 or 4 hours down in California. So when you look at the videos that we've already produced, you can see what we've done. We did it here, and it's great because the other trucks that we drove, we had tons of seat time. A lot of those we've been driving all year. Toyota just showed up right now. So for this to be fair, we wanted the maximum amount of hours behind the wheel, and we did get 3 days worth.
Exactly, and like Dad said, we've put out a ton of videos already on the Tacoma, so go watch those. But right now, we have to start off by talking about the new powertrain. So gone is the old V6. It is replaced by a turbocharged 2.4 liter 4-cylinder. Now, the gas version is launching right now at the end of 2023. The hybrid version that's coming, it won't launch until spring of 2024. So also keep that in mind. All of our thoughts for now are just on the gas engine because no one's had a chance to drive those hybrids just yet. But let's talk about this Turbo 4. The big deal is that the horsepower is the exact same as the outgoing V6, but there's more torque. And don't forget, the V6 was the top engine. This is the base engine. So the new base is making as much as the old top engine. And actually, maybe more important than the numbers, Dad, to me, is where the power is delivered. Because unlike the GM twins, the Tacoma feels to me like the power is delivered really low in the power band. Off the line, it feels strong. And then even off-road, we took it in a bunch of deep snow. The power never felt like it was lacking. I just always felt like I had it when I wanted it. At the top end, when it's screaming away, yeah, maybe it loses a little bit to some of the other mid-sizers, but I just felt like the usable power was really good and frankly better than the V6 it replaces.
Well, and for the little bit of off-roading that we did, and honestly it was just a little bit,
Yeah.
I still never felt like I needed 4 low.
Yeah.
So
and
4i was fun.
and that was in the snow, and the snow does add an extra element to it, slipping around and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think the power is right there, right where it needs to be. Toyota didn't want anybody getting in the turbo and going, oh, this really feels underpowered compared to the old V6, and it straight up doesn't. So I think they really did their homework on that. And then maybe actually the bigger deal than the engine is an 8-speed automatic transmission. We finally got those 2 extra gears out of Toyota, and that's a big deal too. So the whole powertrain combo, in my eyes, is just straight up better than it was before.
Yep, everything we've seen there, and power really is the label here. I mean, that is what they really wanted to accomplish. The previous V6, they were using this Atkinson cycle V6, which sort of flattened out the mid-range for fuel economy. And frankly, it didn't really do a good job on that, nor did it do a good job of giving you power. So I'm glad to see that at least they got away from that thing.
Yeah, agreed.
Hey everybody, listen, you've heard us talk about the giddy-ups here on the Truck King channel. So this is a new set that I've got in my truck. Now these, unlike the synthetic simple ones that we sold out of last summer, are handmade, all leather, hand stitched. These are unique, these are one of a kind, all made by John out there in Alberta, Canada. And if you're interested in these for your truck, all you have to do is reach out to us at hey@truckking.ca, that's H-E-Y, at truckking.ca. We'll send you photos, prices, and delivery information. Do that soon. So almost right off the top, we got to talk about 2 things. One, Toyota is very strict at staying with a 7-year life cycle for their vehicles. So yeah, it's been 7 years since we got a new Tacoma, but this time around, it's not built on the frame the previous gen was. It actually is built on the TANAF frame. Did I get that right?
TNGAF.
All right,
Close.
whatever. Which now underpins all of Toyota's body-on-frame vehicles, including the Tundra. So same frame as the Tundra. However, this is Tacoma. I guess they just slapped the wheels into a different position. But the single greatest thing about this new frame is that it gives you a normal seating position for the driver. You actually get your ass off of the floor and you can have a bend in your knee. I hated the seating position in the last 2 gens of Tacoma. So that to me is a really big deal.
Totally. The engineering term is hip to heel ratio, which has now been improved in the new Tacoma. Or as Dad said, yeah, your butt is just up off the ground and it's a much more comfortable seating position. Of course, a lot of people are fine with the way the truck is today. I was never comfortable in it. It always felt awkward. So the new generation truck correcting that one thing is a huge deal. And I think a lot of people who maybe weren't buying the truck because of that might come and look at it now just because of that one change. So yes, the new frame allowed them to do that, and that's all good news.
Well, in addition to which, with the new frame, leaf spring's gone, except on the absolute base model. And you no longer have drum brakes, another thing that has gone the way of the dinosaur. So, welcome Toyota to the 21st century.
And that is sort of the Toyota way, isn't it? They don't change things unless they feel like they absolutely have to. And that, I think, is one of the reasons why they have their reputation for reliability that they do. But you're right, there's also some things where it's just, you have to keep up, and the drum brakes felt like one of them. The drum brakes worked, but it doesn't matter. Everyone else had discs. Toyota had to go discs.
So based on that new frame, remembering that, you're getting a lot of improvements, and then that speaks right into ride quality.
Yeah, exactly. With the new rear end, you're getting the coil springs rather than the leafs. And this truck straight up rides better. I think the biggest thing I would say is the daily drivability of it is better. And that's the combination of seating position and then the new suspension in the back as well.
My sense was that particularly at high speed, is where I really noticed that it just sucked up the bumps a lot better. Didn't bounce off the top of them as it was going across.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, keep in mind, we only drove the TRD off-road. It does have Bilstein suspension, so it's not going to feel exactly the same as a more basic SR5 or as the TRD Pro. But overall, I mean, the change from leafs to coils is always very apparent, and we felt it for sure.
So with a lot of vehicles that you get when they say this is new this year, they've massaged a lot of things, they've fixed a lot of things, but truly this is almost a white sheet of paper sort of build.
Yeah, totally. And you know what? Interior as well. Look at the interior. It looks nothing like the old Tacoma's interior. And I think that's a good thing. The TRD off-road that we had this really striking blue plastic that they put in there. Again, looked really nice, really caught your eye. And this is what all the brands are doing. A mix of materials, a mix of colors. We had the smaller infotainment screen in our truck. But one of the things I thought was interesting is now with Toyota, you get the same infotainment system. So identical software, just different hardware. You either get a small screen or a big screen. It used to be not like that, right? You get a different system. Not anymore. So that was interesting to me. And in that way, I was fine with having the smaller screen. And then finally, the other takeaway for me on the interior was simplicity. Really, you sat in there and went, I understand all of this. The HVAC is buttons and knobs. There was nothing that you got in and said, what the heck is this? What is Toyota doing? And that's not what Toyota does. They keep things simple, and sitting in that Tacoma, I felt that way too. So I think just makes sense. Everything in there makes sense.
Well, that was my feeling overall. And just in general, seats are good in this new one. It's comfortable. And it's just, I don't know, it's Toyota. It is what you expect.
Let's talk about off-road ability now, and that's very important when it comes to Tacomas because this truck is known for being good off-road, so Toyota couldn't screw it up, and I don't think they did, Dad. All of the numbers are better. More ground clearance, better approach. All of those things have been improved just on paper. And then, of course, you're still getting Toyota's, all of their software, so crawl control, multi-terrain select. Only a rear locker. They haven't gone for the front locker like some of the other brands do. So if that's important to you, Toyota doesn't offer that. But what they do offer is a lot of different off-road trims. So we had the TRD off-road. That's sort of your basic budget off-roader, although it's not that
That's the
inexpensive.
meat of the market.
Exactly. But then we're going to get the TRD Pro and then the brand new Trail Hunter model, which are kind of the Halo off-road models. And those things look incredible, not just because of the suspension systems and tires, but you know the features like the isodynamic seats in the TRD Pro, the built-in air compressor in the Trail Hunter. So Toyota's really focused on off-road. But yeah, we'll get a chance to drive those crazy trucks later. For now, this TRD off-road feels like an honest-to-goodness, affordable off-road truck. Again, affordable off-road truck.
I think they picked that model to give us because, as I said, it's going to fit into the meat of the market.
Totally.
Because Pro is great, Trail Hunter is going to be awesome, but those are going to be small take rates because they're expensive.
Exactly. And then I think the other good news for off-roaders, because generally they're the hardcore enthusiasts, the manual. You can still get the 6-speed manual.
Yep.
Now you cannot get a manual hybrid. They didn't do that. You can only get it with the gas, but that's okay. The fact that they kept it at all, honestly, that's an enthusiast decision. That's not a business decision. There is no business case for manuals anymore, period. No one can say that they're money makers. That is Toyota saying, we know what's important to our customers and we're keeping it because of that. So kudos to Toyota, because now in the world of pickup trucks, you got Jeep Gladiator and Toyota Tacoma. Those are your final two manuals.
That's it.
So we appreciate the choice. And you know what? Choice, we got to expand on that too, because Toyota still has an extra cab model with the Tacoma. Now this is interesting, Dad. They dumped the back seats. So the extra cab is 2 doors and 2 seats. The back is storage, lockable storage. So they really kind of said, you know what? People who buy these trucks aren't using those back seats for people anyway. Let's give them storage. So I also appreciate that. When other trucks in the industry are dropping those choices, Toyota gives us more choice. Let's touch on towing and payload now for the new Tacoma. And as Dad mentioned, we didn't have a ton of time with the truck, so no, sadly, we didn't get a chance to put a big trailer behind it. But we do have to point out that the new generation Tacoma actually tows less than the last gen. This is not very common these days. A new truck almost always tows more, or at least the same. The Tacoma's down by only about 100 or 200 pounds, depending on the trim. For our 4x4 double cab, it came in at 6,400 pounds. Which is just interesting. Like I said, you don't see that anywhere else. And it is true, Dad, you can't argue the fact that if you happen to have a trailer between 6,400 and 7,700 pounds, there are other trucks in the midsize market that will service you, and the Tacoma simply will not. So if that happens to be important to you, the Tacoma is lacking next to the competitors. I personally don't think it's that important in this segment, because if you're going over 7,000, you should probably think about a bigger truck. But yeah, it has to be worth noting that the Tacoma now does tow less, and it does tow less than the competition as well.
No, absolutely. Those numbers are absolutes, so we have to look at them. but anybody that knows you're not going anywhere near that top number.
Fair. And then when it comes to payload, the payloads have all gone up. Some of them by as little as 20 pounds, some of them by as much as a couple 100 pounds. So not a huge jump, but still just nice to see more payload available. When it comes to this new Tacoma, I think Toyota corrected all of the pain points that people had without screwing anything up, quite frankly. And I do truly believe when you're number one in the market, and Toyota is number one by, double its next competitor. They just sell so many Tacomas compared to everyone else in this segment. When you're number one, you're on thin ice. You can't screw that thing up because obviously you have a good thing going. So I do truly believe the pressure is higher when you're redesigning the best-selling vehicle in a segment. And with the Tacoma, it looks like they addressed everything they had to without screwing anything up. Yeah, Dad, besides the fuel economy and the pricing, I don't see anything on this truck that really bothers me. And fuel economy, I'll go a little bit more in depth. It is better now. It's just not that great. I wish they'd really push further forward. But outside of that, I think that they hit everything that they had to.
I think they listened to everybody yelling about power, and that was where they were headed.
Fair enough. But yeah, what else? Everything else you think is good? Do you have any major complaints?
I liked everything about it. I just need more seat time in it.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that this winter and this spring. And but in the meantime, the last time I think I felt this good about a Toyota product is when Tundra went from kind of the 3/4 Tundra to the full-size Tundra in 2007, because that was a huge, huge jump. And all of a sudden, they fixed all the crap that I hated about the truck before then.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel the same way about this Tacoma, a little less or so. However, yeah, they fixed the things that I've been bitching about for the last 7 years.
So thanks for listening, Toyota. But yeah, that's it for this one. Now, of course, we need to hear from you guys. So why don't you go into the comments, let us know what you think of this new Tacoma. Hopefully you've seen all of our videos on it. If you haven't, go watch them. And then yeah, let us know what your comments are. And then don't forget, we're going to release 4 other videos, one on each of the competitors, and then we'll have that final video coming in the first week of January to let you know if the Toyota Tacoma is our 2024 Truck of the Year. So yeah, like I said, go below, leave us that comment, hit like, hit subscribe, hit join to become a member, and hit that notification bell so you hear about every one of our videos. And then yeah, come back here to the channel to find out what our 2024 Truck of the Year is. See you guys.
We'll be back.